Hello, my name is Joshua Meggs, and I am a high school math teacher at Shawnee Mission North High School. I'm currently teaching Algebra 1 and Algebra 2. I was asked to speak to you today due to the fact that I was part of the National Teachers Hall of Fame Mentorship Program, where I got to spend a 4 week stay in Washington, D.C., working with the Hall of Fame teacher, Mr. John Mahoney, who teaches at Benjamin Banneker High School. And I was asked to speak today on what that exactly meant to me and how it's affecting me as a teacher right now. The very first thing I want to talk about was that it got me out of my comfort zone. I grew up in Kansas. I went to Kansas public schools, was in K through 12. I ended up at Emporia State, being a Kansas Board of Regents university. So all I knew about schools and education came from Kansas. And what was really cool was getting to go out into Washington, D.C., which is very different culturally in a lot of different ways from Kansas. And I got to see how their education system worked, what their curriculum looked like, how it was similar and how it was different from us, and just kind of expose myself to education outside of what I had grown up seeing. That being said, it also did a couple of other things for me. It also kind of got me out of my comfort zone as far as where I was living. I was living in a completely new area. I was taking a train to a bus to walk to another bus just to get to the high school as opposed to just driving up and parking. So that was very new to me. It was also just different living in a different spot. Washington, D.C., very different climate wise than it is here in Kansas. And so just surrounding myself in a totally new environment. And I think that's kind of helped me as a teacher to just kind of sometimes go with the flow and understand that things aren't always going to be the way you expect them to be. Some of the other things I wanted to talk about as well, with DC public schools just being very different. And I had kind of the opportunity to be in a much better off DC public school than some others, but it's still just kind of a different thing to have to walk through a metal detector on your way into the classroom every day. Not that I was ever fearful that something would happen, but just a very different climate, different atmosphere with students checking their phones at the door and being much more focused in the classroom. Um, I also had the chance to really learn from some extracurricular events that I got to go to. Uh, Unfortunately, my early part of my stay kind of forced me to kind of sit on the sidelines for about a week and a half before I even made it into the classroom. But fortunately, being in DC, I had some opportunities to do some really cool stuff outside of the classroom. Uh, Not just sightseeing either. Obviously, there's a lot to see in DC, but I actually got to go to a couple of different things that were really cool. I got to go to the DC Math Ignite session, which was a session kind of like TED Talks from people all around the DC area and teachers and what they were doing in their classroom. And I got to go to the Department of Education, the United States Department of Education, for a summit in a similar kind of TED Talk manner. And I actually got to see one of my students talk at this, which was really, really cool. I also got the chance to go to the National Teachers Hall of Fame kind of award ceremony at the NEA headquarters, which is a magnificent building. Very, very cool to see, and stuff that I wouldn't have gotten to see if I hadn't gotten to go to DC. The last thing I wanted to talk about was actually working with that Hall of Fame teacher and working alongside John Mahoney, who's a veteran teacher, just awesome guy all around, and just getting to watch how he interacted with students and just this wealth of subject knowledge that he's built up over the years, as well as just having the chance to talk with him and his experiences as an educator and stuff that I wouldn't have gotten to see just staying in Kansas for all of my student teaching. So the 4 weeks were just an incredible opportunity for me to get outside of my comfort zone and to be kind of in the capital of the nation and see how it's different there with educators and get to see someone who's been successful as an educator for so long. So thank you for your time. I appreciate it. If there's anything you would like to know about my experience or anything that I can answer for you, I'd be happy to do so. The